So, what I want to talk about today is role models. Role models, we're going to be focusing particularly on autistic role models and ADHD role models, but the same goes across the board, particularly at the start of it when we're talking about role models itself. And I suppose the bigger question is, do we actually need neurodivergent role models in society? And it's interesting that probably about 5, 6 years ago, if you'd have asked me that question, I'd be like, no, we can live our own lives. We don't have to worry about role models or anything like that. This person to attain greatness or anything like that. We just need to live our own lives and be ourselves, which I think is a fair opinion to have. But like I say, that was a viewpoint 5 years ago, and it was about 5 years ago that that viewpoint changed to going, yes, we do need role models in the neurodivergent community. And I wanted to share that experience with you guys because um, probably might help to see things from my thinking. And basically, it goes when I went to see a show. One of those sort of theatre shows where there was a break halfway through. Um, and the break halfway through is important in this, right? So we'd seen the first part, and I'd gone there by myself, very much enjoying the single life at the time, and there was a couple next to me. I believe married couple, not important whether they're married or not, but they were a couple. Um, Boyfriend and girlfriend, husband and wife, however it was. Um, and as is the way, because there was this intermission, I think it was about 15 minutes, 20 minutes, we got to talking. And, we shared little things about us, and, jobs, what we were doing in life, everything like that. Now, anyone who knows me as a rule, I don't ever reveal the fact that I'm autistic, probably until either it's worth mentioning or probably a significant period of time. I want them to get to know me rather than get to know me, the autistic, right? So we were chatting away. We were talking, like I say, we were talking about jobs. We were talking about how we got to the venue. We were talking about our living circumstances, whether we were um, dating, married, had kids, all that sort of small talk. Yes, we can do small talk. We've just broken the myth. And after we'd gone through it, I mean, she was then talking about how she was a teacher for children with what would have been considered by the educational field as special needs, which included autistic individuals. And I was talking about the appropriate time to mention it. I was like, well, there's no better time than now. And I just basically said, by the way, it's interesting you mentioned that because I'm autistic. And it was what she said next that was the kicker that made me think we need to start having role models in society. What she said was, really? Wow, you are an inspiration. Now, I want to get something clear. Like I said, 5 years ago, if someone had said that to me now, where, I have a very privileged job that I have right now, I am privileged to be able to share positivity for neurodivergence on streams, um, and other stuff that I'm able to do, then I'd go, do you know what? Fair enough. You got a point, right? It's a nice thing to say. But 5 years ago, it was completely different. I was working in a call centre, rented an apartment, very much like I am now, and was having to pay off loans. I was in an okay situation, but by no means an inspirational situation. My circumstances, I wouldn't have wanted, in a sense, anyone else to have that as their dream. Be nice for them, but not a dream, right? You think about the whole idea of it is for you to aim for the stars when you're launching, not aim for the atmosphere, because then if you miss the stars, you're still doing well. You miss hitting the atmosphere, things aren't going to go well for you. You know, it's nice for people to see me as a positive role model at that time, but not an inspiration. And that's the whole thing that hits me, is the fact that, particularly when it comes to families of children that are autistic, have Tourette's, have ADHD, anything, is if we don't have actual role models that are shining beacons, shining lights for society, then we run the risk of limiting either ourselves or people that we know that are autistic, ADHD, neurodivergent, right? So, who would those role models be? Well, I've got four. I've got two autistic role models, two ADHD role models. I'm going to share them as examples. Now, there are plenty of other examples, but I wanted to choose ones that are A, sort of widely known. There's one or two curveballs in here, right? But also where the reaction to them once, if you know their work, is overwhelmingly positive. Elon Musk isn't in this list for obvious reasons because of the, he's well known, but how people view him? Maybe not. Right? But I've chosen four, right? And by the way, guys, for those of you, if you want to either comment live on the Twitch stream or comment on the YouTube video as to your neurodivergent role models and inspirations, feel free to comment, because at the end of the day, it's nice to be able to share those beautiful experiences more than anything else. So, what I love most of all about these ones that I've chosen is it completely smashes a certain misconception, a certain myth about anyone who's neurodivergent. You'll start to see what that myth is when we start talking further. So, should we get into it? Let's get into it. Now, the first person I want to highlight is someone perhaps that is well known to those that are in the British, in the UK, but not perhaps to those in the rest of the world. And that is Mylene. No, not Mylene Class. I get them all mixed up every time. Melanie Sykes. Now, Melanie Sykes isn't like an incredibly out there actress. She was a presenter, and she still is a presenter, by the way, of a lot of well-known UK TV shows. She did a lot of things like where they were doing light entertainment shows in the 90s, would do a lot of chat shows in the 2000s, a hell of a lot of chat shows in the 2000s. That was the sort of thing, the style that she was in. She did a lot of light entertainment, presenting, or voiceover work. She's well known, well respected, an incredible human being. And she just she was, you know, that you have that sort of thing, the sort of um in some chat shows where you have someone that's very serious and someone that's very laid back. She was almost like the translation between the two. She could really do those serious stuff, but a very laid back personality on the whole. She was able to use her masking well in her TV career. Incredible woman. And when she started talking about her autism diagnosis, and I'm going off memory here, so I might not get it right, but she was talking a lot about how, in particular, like restaurants, that she could hear three, four, five conversations going on at the same time. By the way, distinguish everything that was going on. Now, that is, in a sense, potentially contributing to a sensory overload. But the whole point of it was the fact that she was able to do that. She was able to distinguish everything that was going on and be able to tell you everything that was going on in that restaurant, every single family scenario and everything like that. Incredible woman. And the fact that, again, well, not again, sorry, like myself actually, she only revealed that she was autistic 2 years ago. She'd been presenting since the late 90s. And that's what I love about it, is the fact that here is someone that not necessarily ashamed of being neurodivergent, but more the fact that she didn't want that to be the reason that she got to where she was. She wanted people to see her, not the autistic. So that was number one of our celebrities that are autistic. And the second one, in terms of Limitless, welcome in. How you doing? So the second one, in terms of neurodivergent um, celebrities, role models, that I wanted to talk about, is someone that's perhaps a little bit more eccentric. Well, I'll let you decide. This guy. Now, this guy is called Alan Gardner, as you can see in the bottom left. He is a gardener. There's a lot more to that, of course, you can imagine. You see, Alan Gardner, he, his pronouns are he, him. He first started to get a little bit of recognition through the Royal Horticultural Society Chelsea Flower Show. Now, that is one of the biggest flower shows in the world. And there would be landscapers, there would be gardeners that would basically showcase the best that they could do, showcase their best designs, in the hopes of getting medals, bronze, silver, gold. Alan Gardner did his and got a silver medal. Very challenging to get a medal in the first place, got a silver medal. That's him. But I wanted to highlight something else that he did, which for me made him probably not just one of the best people to showcase their autistic merits, but also one of the best advocates and representatives of the neurodivergent community. Because he did a TV show, as you can see in the bottom left, called The Autistic Gardener. Now, the second series of The Autistic Gardener was a bit different. It was him doing it on his own. But the first series was the one that really felt special. Because what he did was, the best way of describing it was, you know, those sort of home makeover shows, right? Now imagine a home makeover show for your garden, right? There have been plenty of TV shows that have done that. One of them was Ground Force from the 90s and early noughties, early 2000s. Things like that. The Autistic Gardener was, as you can imagine, slightly different in the sense of every single person coming up with the idea for improving the garden was autistic. And they had different strengths. That was the first thing. They had different strengths. They had different talents. Some of them just knew what flowers went together. Some of them knew about like sculptures that could be done, or building work that could be done, to make it stand out. Maybe unique designs, maybe all that sort of thing, right? And the great thing about it was this team of autistic individuals, they weren't like top class landscapers with a huge reputation or anything like that. They were teenagers, young adults that had a real challenge with confidence. And he brought that team together and he built them up. And there was a lot of things in it. And if you get a chance to find the Autistic Gardener, particularly the first series, it's beautiful because they were challenged. But there was one bit where I think it was the very first episode where there was one of the designers was trying to word an idea to, in a sense, the builders that were going to be making. I think it was a bird table. I think it was, and she came up with this idea for a unique bird table. And these neurotypical construction workers, big burly men, all that sort of thing. One of them basically, in a sense, said that is one of the best ideas for a bird table I've ever known. Straight out said it to her, right? And she cried because that was the first time that someone had given any sort of positive feedback to just one of her designs. First time that she'd been given the support, the kindness, and the love. Now, that wasn't someone autistic or someone with ADHD building up. That was someone neurotypical. There's a huge amount of power in the neurotypical people in this world of being able to build up those that are autistic, those that have ADHD, just by some kind words, some positivity. It's so powerful. And that's why this guy, for me, was probably one of the most special, because of the effect it had on myself. Now, time to talk about those with ADHD that are great role models. Now, the next one, I kind of had to put her in it. Now, I was mentioning about the fact that we smashing through one of the myths, inaccuracies about neurodivergent individuals. The one that we're smashing through is the fact that this is a boys' thing. It's only males that have it. 3 of the 4 celebrities are female, identify as female. And that's what I love about this, is the fact that the 3 amazing ones that I want to point out are doing that for them. Now, we do a lot of things on motorsport on the channel, on the Twitch channel in particular. So the person I'm going to be talking about next is Michelle Rodriguez. Now, she's not a racing driver. Definitely not. She is an actress. But she is one of the stars, one of the main stars of the Fast and Furious franchise. Now, say what you want about Fast and Furious. You see her acting, she's incredible. You see her driving, which, by the way, I don't think there was that many, they practiced drifting and everything like that. Her driving style was amazing. She could stick it with the big boys, sort of thing, right? That was the type of character that she put over. This was someone that was also in fashion, magazines and on catwalks and everything like that. And here she is in sort of street style film, talking being one of the stars. Honestly, I adored Michelle Rodriguez growing up, very much like I did the whole Fast and Furious cast. When I learnt that she had ADHD, I couldn't believe it. Do you know that funny thing that where you like going, you don't, you hear it from stereotypicals. You don't look autistic. You don't look like you have ADHD. When I found out about Michelle Rodriguez's ADHD diagnosis, my initial reaction was, no, she's not. No way. And I had to catch myself doing that. Like, why? Here is someone who has absolutely smashed the box office through her being her. Now, people can talk about Vin Diesel. People can talk about, I've forgotten his name. You know the one I'm talking about, the one that passed away. But Michelle Rodriguez was one of the main stars. She was one of the ones behind it. That's number 3. Here's the last one, number 4. It's going to be Emma Watson. Now, Emma Watson, I don't think there is a single human being, and I mean that human being, not POS, human being, that looks at Emma Watson and doesn't think she is an incredible advocate for ADHD. Let's cast aside the controversies surrounding Harry Potter at the moment. When you consider her acting and how she was as Hermione Granger, she was bloody good at it. That's the acting side of things. But look at the way she is representing women in the world. The way that she's representing disadvantaged people. Being a UN ambassador, the he for she campaign. The amount of work she does behind the scenes. The inspiration that she provides. Through just being an incredible role model. There have been young girls who have focused in on their studies, have, not minded being the bookworm or the nerdy kid to try and get ahead because of the role model that is not just Hermione Granger but Emma Watson. I don't think there is such an incredible person as Emma Watson in my view. And whenever I look at Emma, I think that is the inspiration, the role model. If anyone tells you that neurodivergent people cannot make it, or there is a limit to what neurodivergent people can do, then you just need to look at, particularly those last two. I'll include Alan Gardner, but particularly those last two, Michelle Rodriguez, Emma Watson, to see that it is an absolute bundle of BS that those that are neurodivergent, there is a limit on what they can do. There absolutely is not a limit on what we can do. And there are other people where it's debatable about their ADHD or them being autistic. There have been plenty of debates over, for example, Lewis Hamilton, which, by the way, if it would be true, that would be one huge showing that absolutely it is possible. You know, there are plenty, and I mean plenty, of inspirations. So I have 2 take-home points, and those 2 take-home points depends on where you are in this. If you are neurodivergent and you sometimes feel low because of being different, look at the people I've just shown you that are classed as different and have used their differences to make them do incredibly well. You can do exactly the same. I whenever I think of it for myself, I just want to showcase these individuals. And honestly, just sitting here, being able to talk about it with the limited audience that I do is a huge privilege. To talk about these role models, because all it takes is for it to benefit one person, and I've done an incredibly good deed. I've achieved something special. So, like I say, if you're feeling low, look at these people, look at these inspirations. But if you are a friend or a family member of a neurodivergent individual, particularly if they are a young individual that's neurodivergent, and perhaps they've got dreams, like any individual has dreams, be careful about how you manage those dreams and expectations. I remember someone saying to me, just focus on having a stable job and you can be satisfied with that. And by the way, they're right. Having a stable job is something that is satisfying. But you want to achieve more than that. You being different, that person being different can be a gift to the world. Can be. Do you really want to limit them? Limit the world of their gift? Show them these individuals. Because here's a funny thing. You have to do a bit of digging to find autistic individuals who are celebrities in the media. You have to do a bit of digging to find ADHD celebrities in the media. Same with Tourette's. Same with any neurodivergent trait, Down syndrome, the lots. But they are there. And you do have to do even more digging than just Google searching, because there are some where they literally go, oh, it's widely thought that they have it. No sources confirming it. They've never revealed it themselves. And by the way, it should be for them to say whether they are ADHD or autistic. You're probably looking at this right now, particularly after a Google search, going, Ninja, why didn't you mention this person? Why didn't you mention that person? I wanted to make sure I did mainly positive celebrities that have confirmed for themselves that they are neurodivergent. And it does take a bit of effort. But if you were to say, my son, my daughter, my niece, my nephew, my close friend, my grandchild has ADHD or has autism, is autistic. Therefore, they could be the next Emma Watson. Doesn't sound that bad, does it? Sounds pretty incredible, in fact. And it's seeing these individuals that makes me proud that there's something that I share with them. I love it when I think of, you know, I am in the same, being neurodivergent, I am in the same group as Melanie Sykes, as Alan Gardner, as Michelle Rodriguez, as Emma Watson. Your close neurodivergent friend, your close neurodivergent relative, can do exactly the same, if not more, than these people. There is no limit to what can be done. It is a challenge, do not get me wrong. It is absolutely a challenge. This world is a challenge. These people, when they're revealing about their diagnoses, are talking about things that they struggle with. But after that struggle, they've become these beautiful role models. And I mean beautiful both physically and mentally, and the persona that they give off. They have done it. That doesn't necessarily mean to say, that thing of I can do it so you can do it too. But the dream is there. The ambition is there. They've been able to do it. They've been able to show just what can be done if you have those dreams, if you have those goals. Your dreams and goals do not end when you get your neurodivergent diagnosis. If anything, it just means that you will do it in a wildly different way than anyone could ever imagine. You are special. No caveat to that. You are special. You are incredible. You are unique. You are a potential role model.